Okay, today I got something really insane. The bull market is not even raging yet. And I'm already doing very fine in this bull market, printing a lot of money. Look, if I run out of cash today, I will have more cash tomorrow. And that's maybe why I am always quite calm during the market, no matter what. But one of the reasons why that's the case is because I prepared with notes. And today there is a note sale that I would like to talk about. And before people feel like, oh, it's already too late for notes. Not really. If you are in a good note sale, you can ROI on TGE easily, right? We discussed a couple note sales right here on the channel. I think that this one of today is better than every one of those, really. And I'll explain to you why. I'm also going to interview the founder of these note sales so you know exactly everything about it. But if you look at the Elysium, for example, we talked about it here, right? You were printing tokens every day. Then it came out, shot up really hard. You got a big fat ROI plus profit. And then it didn't matter, went down, went up, right? Sideways now. You're printing tokens every single day. And we talked, for example, about Ether, about Agent Layer, about Lumia, about Sonic, which was the most recent one, right? And also with Sonic, I mean, ROI at TGE, so it doesn't matter what happens to the price right now. It's cash that you are getting in daily. Now, the note sale of today, one more interested in this one is actually because this is an AI agent license. So this is pretty comparable to virtual, right? We all know the project virtuals. Well, this is basically that, but quite bigger. Plus, you can run a node. So can you imagine you running a node on virtuals and somebody creating a successful project right there and you getting revenue of that project as well, instead of just only the virtual tokens, right? It's kind of what this is right here. So let's talk about that. It's on the SUI network, also real interesting network. There's a link down below. It's not that I want to show my link, but you cannot get into this node sale without a code. So might as well use mine, right? So do check it out. For me, for a lot of community members, these nodes have been worth it so much. And it gives you a little more certainty in life as well, right? Like I said, once you ROI it, you just have cash coming in no matter what, like how low or high the price chart is going. And that's so beautiful about this. Now also with the AI agent hype that we have going on right now, you can own your own AI agent plus a complete swarm that you can train and send out and sell later and keep royalties. It's absolutely fantastic. So I want to talk with Yannick, the founder, also an ex-Delesium member, which gives me a lot of trust because Delesium killed it. Let's hear what he has to say about this project. So Yannick, you're the founder of Swarm Network.
Yes.
Can you also have a Delesium background, of course. Some people might know you from that. Can you give a little introduction, short introduction, like who's behind the project, which I think is always very important.
Yeah, sure. So thank you for having me first of all, and greetings to all of the viewers that are watching this session today. My name is Yannick. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Swarm Network. And Swarm Network is a multi-agent collaboration framework that is powering very interesting swarms, which we will get into. But what a swarm essentially means is like it's a group of AI agents that is working together to achieve a common goal. We're building on SUI network, and about my background, previously I was indeed with Delesium. I guess like a lot of your viewers will know what Delesium is. I officially was the CMO for a very long time, and also some of our team members, one of the co-founders was actually one of the co-founders of Delesium, but also co-founder of RCT AI. Some of the tech side of people is also from RCT AI and Delesium. So our current CTO was with us previously as well. And when we left, they invited themselves really to join us. We never asked anybody to come, but they thought it was a nice thing that we're trying to build. So they came over, and really blessed, man. Like very blessed to be able to work with such a strong team.
I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, with the Lysium, y'all did a great job. So that gives me already a lot of trust. I mean, the people behind the project are the motor of it all in the first place. So there's now some kind of a node cell. You don't want to call it a node cell, but there's some kind of a node cell going on, which I think is super interesting. It did very well for me, and it's a good way to support the projects. But before that, like, what is a project in your own words? Can you explain a little bit what you do and what the use case is and everything?
Yeah, yeah. It's super interesting, man. So we created a swarm at first that is able to verify arbitrary data, and we built that using our own multi-agent collaboration framework. So this multi-agent collaboration framework will be open sourced, and anybody can use that framework and the tools that we provide to create an agent swarm, and then do with that swarm essentially whatever they want, right? But we wanted to really set the stage, and we wanted to be able to show people what is possible. So we created this first swarm around information verification. So it's tied up to the Truth Protocol, which is one of our solutions for bringing arbitrary data on chain on Sui. So essentially, what it does is we built a swarm of around 100 agents, and it can validate and fact check any type of information. So here's an example. Yeah, I'll show you an example. So there's this thread here that it's about the conflict in the Middle East, and I'm not logged in because I I just cleaned up my PC. But anyway, there's a whole thread. There's a whole information like below this thread. I remember it's like almost like 20 tweets. So it's a lot of information. There was a lot of like kind of like claims and kind of like facts, if you will, presented there, but we're not sure. So what you can actually do is you can reply to this thread. You can tag rollup -- news and add the word rollup, and then you will receive a rollup in the comment. So here you can see that this is actually exactly the rollup that was requested. So what happens on the back end? Let me explain first. What happens on the back end is that once you tag this agent on Twitter, that agent sends the information to the swarm, and then the swarm starts to disseminate that information according to the rules that we set in the Truth Protocol. So what you then get back is you get the information in a verified format. So what happens first is all of the claims are extracted, and they're then one by one fact checked using a very large network of different sources and so on. So you can see here that 57% of the claims that were made are substantiated, 42% is unsubstantiated. 42 of these claims here are unsubstantiated, and you can see them actually here. So each claim, for example, here is like any military attack against Iran's nuclear program will mean military move by Hezbollah militia against Israel territory. So all of the things that this lady was saying in the thread are then fact checked, and here you have some of them which cannot be fact checked. So it's basically like a fact checking swarm that you can call upon from straight from Twitter. And then it puts all of that information on chain, and whoever wants to use that information can use that information. So like a too long
What
didn't read.
sources does it use to fact check? Is it going off of news articles or any website that ever posted anything about this whole subject, or what's the source that it uses for that?
Yeah, so it really depends on how the swarm decides to fact check a certain claim, but you can see the sources here.
It links to the sources. Yeah.
Yeah, it links to the sources. So this is Brandeis University, is some research or some policy thingy. So what it does, it assigns a certain group of agents within the swarm, and then it uses that group of agents to fact check, and it can be like literally any type of source that either we or our users decide to add to the swarm. So if you have like some private information to your disposal, or you have a private database with some crucial information, you can actually hook a swarm up to that, or you can hook that up to the swarm and we can use that to verify. So there's like a rating and a scoring system. So this score that you see here is like a confidence score. So this is the confidence score that the swarm gave. And what is really cool about this is that it's just an MVP, and we're going to release the second version. But in the second version, you actually can come as a user, and you can also, like you can pitch in. You can use either your own knowledge or your own information to then go and like discuss these things in here with the swarm. So sometimes there might be some information that, like it's available to you, but maybe not available to everybody else in the world. And you might want to present that information if it's related to one of these things. So that's really cool. So that was kind of like the first, the first use case that we built using our own multi-agent collaboration framework. So yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
And this is basically what you just showed is basically just an agent that does this work, right? And I'm coming back to that point, but by owning a node, you basically have such an agent for yourself, which you can train to do this kind of stuff or to be specified in other kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, so it's not just one agent, it's a very large group of agents. Actually, this swarm consists of more than 100 agents already. So within a swarm, it's basically like each agent is either grouped together with other agents and they have a specific task, or it's a single agent depending on what kind of tools this agent has access to, that is able to do work on behalf of the swarm. And then we can get into very detailed stuff, but they're basically kind of these, they're agentic design patterns, which basically means like, okay, there are certain types of hierarchy that can exist within a swarm, and that hierarchy depicts on how the agents are approached. Either it's like an operator on the top and the operator decides who gets to do the work, or they do the work together. There are many different variations. But to get back to your question, essentially, if you have an agent license, you not only can create these agents using our platform that is going to launch in Q3, but you can also manage swarms and you can launch these swarms. What launching these swarms means is that you can solicit agents, whether they're from our builder or from any other piece of the part of the agent space. It doesn't really matter. They can become part of your swarm, and you can create a specific mission and vision for that swarm by yourself. It doesn't have to be related to the Truth protocol, not at all. You can build your own swarm doing whatever you want, and you can launch an asset for that swarm. So you can distribute its ownership, you can distribute its governance, and you can make it, like as big as you want, essentially.
And it's like you mentioned off cam earlier, like there are some similarities between this and virtuals, right? So for the average user to understand, virtuals has a big hype right now, and everything that comes out of it is crazy. Like in some ways, it looks a little bit like it, but it's also different, of course. Can you does that make sense? What I'm saying?
Yeah, actually, yeah, I did also say this previously, because like how I see it, it's like virtuals on Sui, but virtuals is more focused on like the entertainment and the gaming side of things, right? But what we're focused on is like true utility, like really making a difference. So that's why it was also really important for us to build out one use case that was very a very strong use case. It's like, okay, well, imaginatively you can have a bunch of swarms doing stuff, but now actually users can interact really with the swarm, right? With the Truth protocol and the swarm that is managing the Truth protocol. So that actually got the community really involved. And, like I've been talking to community members and people that have bought the licenses, and we have an alpha group as well, where there are some insiders that came really early, like the OGs. And we've been talking to them, and it's interesting, man. Like everybody has super interesting ideas about what kind of swarm they would build. Like super diverse, man. It's like really amazing to see that people really have the capacity and ability to think something that is like very specific to their context, like personally, but then try and like bring their experience into a swarm and then share that with the world. It's very empowering. So like utility is the word, man, like real utility.
Yeah, and community from what I hear, right? Because I
Yeah.
don't think that there are a lot of projects that allow the community to actually build the project together with you guys in at such a level. Like
Yeah.
most projects have governance, like okay, you get to choose a little bit, but here the community actually helps building it, literally,
Yeah.
right?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Mm.
And another thing which I'm quite excited about is like we've allocated, I can actually show you here, we've allocated a bunch of supply also to a community reserve, but also ecosystem incubation. So it's vested over a very long period of time, but that does give us some funds available to actually work on the swarms that the community wants to build.
Yeah.
So actually, like whenever there's like a really good idea, so there's one guy that has a pretty good idea for like a DeFi swarm. So what he wanted to achieve is that like his swarm can manage his assets across protocols, and whatever kind of like new way there is for being able to bridge and being able to send assets from one chain to another, and maybe like move them over to like a protocol where staking happens or something like that, where he can generate yield, that the swarm would be able to do that for him autonomously. And like many agents have actually, many projects have actually made this promise, right, that their agent would be able to do it.
Well,
But
I
what you
heard the same from the Elysium, by the way.
y-
Like
y-
Lucy, or maybe not Lucy, but right? Like I heard it before.
yeah, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the problem with it is that these agents that you build, if it's just a singular unit of an agent, it maxes out so quickly because you're
Mm.
using a base model, which is a large language model, and then you're trying to give it a lot of routes and a lot of capabilities, and you're expanding the action space of this agent. But what it actually does, it becomes really confused, right? Like once you start adding like 3 or 4 or maybe a little bit more tools in the action space, and you're going to give that singular unit of an agent the ability to choose which tools it's going to use, it's not able to make sense of anything at one point anymore. Like
Yeah.
however much we'd like that for that to be possible, it's just not. But what you can do is you can have a lot of agents, all with a very certain responsibility, that are operated by an agent that's in the middle between all of the agent units essentially and you. And that agent decides on your behalf which agent is going to do the work. So for example, if you have a very complicated query, you want to do some like complex sequence of events, right? Then that operator has to decide which agents are going to do that in what sequence. And then it's possible because each agent is very well defined. It's like your sole existence is to, let's say, like wipe the floor. Like whenever you see like a dirty spot, like you go and wipe the floor, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the same principle, right? It's really simple. It's like, okay, my existence is I have to do this thing. So, like whenever I get asked to do that thing, I'm not able to do anything else. I can only do that thing. And because I can only do that thing, I do it very well, right? It's the same with us humans. So, like a lot of the projects that are building like these, so to speak, agents, either they're not really building agents, they're just building very complex workflows that are semi-automated, or rather they should be building swarms actually.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense like humans as well. Indeed, you cannot do everything perfect. Therefore, you work in teams. And if that goes for AI agents as well in the form of swarms, makes sense. Like you should not
Right? Yeah.
exhaust it completely.
Yeah.
Promising. Like so, there's a lot more possible than what you just showed at the beginning. Actually, like you can
Sure.
train them in whatever way you want, basically.
Yeah, sure. And our whole point of launching this is that we want to make it like accessible to people.
Yeah.
So I think also like probably we should talk a little bit about like the economic model around it, because like you'll have situations where I don't want to shit talk anybody in the industry really, but you'll see a lot of projects that launch an opportunity or like a launch of product, but there's no market and there's no real value creation because it's lopsided. It's like, okay, this is only for developers. And then, okay, it's
Yeah.
only for developers. So who's going to use it? Like, where do the
Yeah.
consumers come from, or where does the adoption take place, right? And then
Yeah.
sometimes you
Like,
have the other
yeah.
side. Sometimes you have the other side of it. Like somebody builds a marketplace, and then, okay, so where are your creators, or where are the developers that are supposed to do this thing? So I think like the agent license is kind of like a bootstrapping method for us to get both sides of the coin, because you can get a license, you can lease it to developers. So developers will need a license to be able to come on the platform and do something, or you can sell it, you can resell it, and you can do much more with it than just, like, okay, I buy this thing and now I need to just make my own agent, right? So a lot of the community members actually bought a license because they want to accrue the tokens, and then later they want to invest those tokens to bring on board people that can build a swarm on their behalf. They have like a very clear vision, but they're not developers, and they are not really, the kind of people that wanna actually go in the no code tool space and like really become like these agent builders, even though you don't have to use code, but you can develop them with the no code tools that we'll release too. But that's not end all for everybody. Some people just want to come, they want to invest, they want to actually be able to create a micro economy, like almost like a business for their swarm. So we're going to allow people to actually do that. So so through the incubation part, and then also through making it very accessible to people in terms of like, it should be very easy for you to spin up an agent or bring an agent into the ecosystem and then connect it to a swarm. So I think that's also quite interesting.
Sounds like that, definitely. Can you talk a little bit about there's now the license node sale going on. What are the benefits in every single way? People get daily tokens, but they can also run a swarm, the agents. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So I have it here. So first you get tokens and a revenue share. That is the up and foremost thing. We allocated 30% of the total supply for the rewards. Those rewards are distributed over a pretty long period of time, obviously, and we have halvings in between. The halvings happen every 2 years. So you get these tokens. So it's basically, like it's like a virtual miner, if you will. But then also you will get a revenue share. So active agents and agent swarms, they will be eligible to sharing revenue from the entirety of the platform. So you can see the platform as a platform for building and launching agents and creating swarms, but then also to be able to launch those swarm assets, right? So there's like a part of the revenue is coming from the launches of the assets too, which is going to be probably pretty big. And then obviously, if you actually have your swarm to do something like real, like provide some real value in the world, then there's a revenue generation process going on there as well. So through the Truth Protocol, we intend to create some rev shares for the agents and for the swarms that are participating. And then swarm airdrops are going to be pretty cool, because it's not just going to be swarm token and then the Truth Protocol swarm that we're building, but it's also going to be your swarm, and it's going to be like many people, their swarms, which is going to launch. So we've actually created it so that the agent license holders, they will be able to get access to one of the pools that is distributing tokens from all of the asset launchers. So that's, I think, it's going to be something that's going to happen a little bit later. But I think, like from my perspective, like probably should be even more excited about that part than just only the token rewards.
Well, I don't want to compare it to virtuals again, because this is completely different. But it is kind of like having a virtuals node basically, and whenever AI 16C came out, or whatever it was, or AI X2B, that you actually make revenue on that token as well, as long as you hold the virtuals node. Basically, that's kind of what you're telling me, right? Like in the swarms form. That's
Yes, yes,
insane. Yeah, that's really
yes.
insane. If the
Eh,
platform becomes a big success, then that could be really big for people holding these licenses.
yeah. And so 3 months after, no, sorry, in Q3, which is, yeah, probably going to be like around like 3 months after TGE, the agent builder platform will go live. So that's the agent builder platform where you can build agents and manage swarms, and then the swarm launcher is attached to that as well. We'll probably rename it. I don't think it's catchy enough, but I just wanted for people to be able to really understand it,
Just call it
and
Swarm
build it.
AI, and it will sell. That's not a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, exactly. So, and then 3 months after that, you're actually able to sell your license. So,
Mm.
like once you buy a license, you also get an accompanying NFT, and then later on you burn that NFT and you get a tradable license in return. And it's not like you can send that NFT to somebody else and they can get a license. It doesn't work like that. It's only for you, for your specific wallet. So, but what becomes probably the value, um, I mean, like the value of those assets will probably accrue over time, because generally people need to have an agent license to be able to access the platform and do what they want to do on the platform, right?
Mm.
So we're gonna launch a couple of swarms on top of the platform, which probably gonna perform pretty well. But then other people that want to do that as well, they need agent licenses, right? Like, so
Yeah.
even if you're not intending to launch something yourself, then I guess, if everything goes well, fingers crossed, there will be plenty of people that do want to get their hands on one of these. And what we will do, which is important, is once they become sellable, the rest of the supply we will burn. So the supply that has not been sold up until that point, we'll just burn it. So you cannot buy it from us anymore. You can only buy it from our community.
And from what I understood earlier, maybe that has changed, by the way, therefore I'm checking it right now, is that once you do sell it on the marketplace, there's still a little piece of that license that generates revenue for you, or is that
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know if you could call it revenue, but it's like a resale commission. So if you're the first
yeah,
one to buy that, if you're buying from the foundation, you're the first owner of that license.
yeah,
Whenever you resell that license, or that somebody else buys your license and they resell it again, you will receive 2.5% on every resale. So there's like
okay,
this,
yeah,
I forgot what it's called in the NFT world. That has a specific name. It's
it's some kind
like
of
a
royalties, like some
yeah,
first position
yes,
royalty. Yeah. Huh.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if they're trading actively, that could be a nice. That could actually be a nice return for the one who bought it right away, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I try to do, man? I just try to give people as many outs as possible, not just from, like one side. I wanted to make sure that, okay, we're going to be asking a lot from people, first of all, invest. Second of all, wait. Third of all,
Mm-hmm.
like get active in the community, spread the word,
Believe. Yeah.
like believe, but also like actually come and build your swarms. And, like, we're asking a lot of from people. So I wanted just to make sure that, it's not a one-sided ask. We want to give back. So we try
Yeah.
to build in as many mechanisms as possible that make sure that, there are different avenues of potentially generating the upside. And
Mm.
yeah, token appreciation, of course, as well. I think that we can learn a lot from projects like Virtuals. Like, I think what they did really well is, like, they have true token utility. Like, you want to launch an asset, you need to pool, liquidity, which is paid in Virtuals. And I believe that it's even locked for like 10 years or something like that. So, like, you have this model of token appreciation immediately there. And I found that very intriguing. And I think that's going to be not exactly the same for Swarm, but it's very similar. It's going to be very similar.
Everything we so far have discussed, of course, only works and plays out if the product is gonna be working, gonna be used, gonna be a success, right?
Yeah.
Um, how are you planning to do that? By first, of course, having a good product, but are there certain ways that you feel like, yeah, we have a certain team, we do what nobody else can. We're gonna market it in a certain way. Are there certain things that you apply that makes you more confident about the product
Yeah,
itself?
yeah. I want to tell you something really funny. So, when we launched the agent licenses, the community was very, very pleased, and they were giving us compliments all the time because, according to most people that participated, it was the smoothest launch they had ever participated in. And I think that
Hmm.
says something about our team. So one guy, he actually sent this to our dev team. He said like, this launch was smoother than an otter dipped in Vaseline.
Yeah, that's smooth.
Yeah, that's super
Okay.
smooth. So
Uh,
yeah, you know what it is, bro? It's a lot about actually knowing what it is that you're building in the first place
yeah,
and planning for it, and then actually giving the developers the time to build it out. So
yeah,
we're very lucky because I'm super lucky, man. Like, I think in general that I'm a very friendly and just like a good human being. Let's just put it that way. I try to be a good human being, you know, like
mm,
I don't eat meat. I treat my parents very well, my family, my friends, my employees. I try to treat everybody very fairly, realistically, and I think that just attracts the right people. So we were very lucky
yeah,
that we were able to have people literally follow us when we left the other project and just come to us, join the team, and immediately from day one, just like hit the ground running. We hired a bunch of people that I find very talented. Like for example, some of our smart contract people, they literally are able to like code in any smart contract language and uh, have a lot of experience, and they're just very well organized and plan everything ahead. So like for example, with the sale, you know, like it was just a breeze because
yeah.
we're ready, you know, like we were ready. And the same is the case with the product. Right now we're diligently building it, and then we'll go into this stage of testing it, bringing it to market to our core community, and then they can build alongside us, you know, like we'll be asking for, hey, okay, look, this is what we have, how do you want us to improve it, what would you like to see, and then reiterate there. So
Mm,
you know, I one of the reasons also why we left, and what I see happening not just with, you know, any project but with a lot of projects, is that, you know, like everybody has crazy dreams and crazy ideas but nobody's building shit. It's, you know, like super
yeah, it's a lot of promises.
disorganized.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of promises, but that is fundamentally because there's no core organizational structure and there's no real leadership. There's just a good marketing team, a good BD team, and then there's a token, which is respectively, which is, you know, if the asset performs really well, like can you blame anybody,
yeah. I
right?
mean,
No.
XRP is doing that for a decade already. So sorry,
Yeah.
shots fired. Yeah, but yeah, yeah. No, but
Yeah.
I get that like it's good to actually do something. And if you can also combine the marketing and the fact that people actually trust the team and like the team, etc., then you have all the ingredients. Most
Yeah.
projects they are baking a cake and there's just the cherry on top is always missing.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, you know, like if you look at our tokenomics, man, it's like the team is locked up for a super long time, the vestings are very long, the investors are locked up for a very long time, you know, like a 12-month cliff and
Yeah, can you
24
talk a
months.
little bit about it, by the way? Because this is also where most people, it's still crypto, are purely interested in like what's the fully diluted valuation, what's the initial market cap, etc., etc.
Yeah, those things we have not set in stone yet because we haven't closed the private round and we haven't closed the license sale yet. But once that's said and done, like we will be able to come up with a proper valuation. But what I can tell you is that we just closed our seed round. We raised $3 million, and we raised from a syndicate of private, like individual investors, and Y2C Ventures, and then Zero Stage as well. And now we just opened the private round. Well, not just, we've opened the private round for a while, and we're in negotiation with a bunch of investors. So that one is going to basically decide what the, in combination with the agent license sale final results, essentially what the valuation at TG is going to be.
Mm. And what
But
are you
it's
aiming for? Give or take, or you really cannot tell yet?
yeah, I would be probably running my mouth if I say something now and then
Yeah.
it's like really below or really over. I don't want to do it. But what I mean, like what I do want to say is like, look, like it's a long term thing because like nowadays these investors they don't take these kinds of deals. You know, people want to have unlock pre TGA, they want to have short, very short cliffs, they want to have very rapid vestings.
Yeah.
So I don't believe in that because you know like that all of those things they just point towards and they indicate that you know like where's the longevity of the project, how is the value gonna accrue if there's no product at all, like you know
Yeah.
there's unlocks, there's unlocks at like TGE and then 3 months in TGE like investors start to unlock. Yeah, okay, you for sure you understand that the community is gonna be like the dump, right? Like they're just gonna exit on you.
Yeah,
So
and not only the
yeah,
community, man. To be honest, I'm in some KOL groups here and there as well. And when these projects say like, "Oh, we're gonna release 100% TGE," and these KOLs get 100% as well, then after
yeah,
TGE, these KOLs are gonna push you anymore because you cannot take away their vesting. So there's no support for your project in any way anymore. So I don't
yeah.
think it's smart, like you said. It's not sustainable.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you know, like the swarms that are gonna launch on the platform, those are gonna be the assets that do have like the super short. You know, maybe if people wanna have fully unlocked, or they just follow some kind of bonding curve and so on. Like, yeah, if you want to have fun and play around, like do that, but don't do that with your main asset, man. Like,
Yeah.
you got to be in it for the long run. That's what I believe. And yeah, so coming back to that thing that we talked about earlier about what is the difference, and I think that I came to a point in my life where I just want to build shit that makes the world better. Like that I literally see that there's like a need for maybe people not willing to do it. You know, like the fact checking things. Like the fact
Hmm.
checking thing on like putting that information on chain, fact checking it and having it there is so important. Like now to start it now, you know, like in 2 to 3 years, like when everybody has their own AI essentially working for them and like all our information spaces are like completely congested and like spammed with just AI generated garbage, you just probably want to know what's true, you
Man,
know?
I mean, if you're not going to do it, Web 2 will do it within now in a couple months slash years anyway.
Exactly.
I mean, this is
Exactly.
indeed like the biggest problem right now, and it's only getting worse with all the deep fakes and the this and the that. Like, yeah, the world is it's becoming a dangerous place like that. Let's admit that, right? And
Yeah.
it's good that the technology is also catching up on the good side of all of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. Hmm.
Yeah, and maybe it's, you know, like maybe it's less sexy for people, but I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Like the value of it is just, I don't know, it's undeniable in a sense, if you
Important.
will. Yeah.
Also, by the way, because we talked about the node sale that's going on right now, and that's what I really like. However, what I see a lot with projects also that have node sales, they have a node sale, right? People generate a passive income for that, but you need people to buy the token on the other side of it, of course, to keep that token going, right? What's
Yeah.
the use case of the token? What is going to make people look at the token and be like, yeah, I want to, one, not sell it, but I want to buy it up, I want to own a portion of this? Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, it's actually very simple, man. It's like we will set a very good precedent and example of how swarms will perform on our platform on in terms of like asset performance and the utility side of things obviously as well, like what it can do. So if you want to get in as a retail user or as an investor, in on the launches of other people, their swarms. You know, like we will launch a couple, but we also are going to incubate a few, and we're going to work with some very talented people that can build very nice products using our framework, like you want to get access to that, you need to use the token, right? So you need to buy
Okay.
Swarm. You need to buy Swarm off the market. You need to probably either stake it, or you need to use Swarm to get allocation in those launches, in those swarms, if you want to buy tokens because you want to contribute to a swarm on governance level, for example. There's different models. So that is in the beginning probably going to be the main value and the biggest value accrual of the token. And then the token is going to be used on the platform itself as well. So like fees, and like if you want to launch an asset, obviously you need liquidity. So you need to use Swarm to create you need to lock Swarm to generate the liquidity for your asset. And if you want to solicit a Swarm, so for example, like now we have a bunch of partnerships coming up for Rollup News, where actually like we're going to be providing verification service for some that we partnered with, and they will have to pay us, right? They have to pay for each time that they ask for a certain piece of information to be validated or verified. They need to pay, so they will be paying in Swarm as well. Although I think that side of the business is going to take, I think that side of the business is going to take a while longer for it to become, like skill, like obviously that will
Okay.
require
But that's how
some
Chainlink
effort.
also does it, right? Like if they want to use that
Yeah,
platform, they have to pay Chainlink in the link tokens, and if the platform works and
yeah,
it's great and fantastic, then that will come. So, yeah, definitely one
yes,
of my
yes,
first questions was like a product. What separates that from others? Because that's most important in this case. Um,
yeah.
why Sui, by the way? What made you choose Sui as a network?
Sui is very composable, and in a sense it's very flexible, and it just fit our the way that we were building the on-chain stuff, not just for the truth protocol but also for the asset launches. It's relatively cheap, it's very fast. You have this way that the transactions are going through even before the block is finalized, which is pretty cool.
Hmm.
And our position within the Sui ecosystem is very strong, right? Like look at the other projects in the Sui ecosystem. I don't think there's anybody, especially in the AI space, that's going to be able to match us. It's a very well growing ecosystem in terms of their performance. If you look at like the value and the volumes,
Yeah,
I mean the
yeah,
volumes are obviously comparable to Solana. It's not yet, but there's always a runner-up, right? So I think that Sui is going to be the runner-up. So we're
mm,
kind of like building our castle now first, and then once the wave comes, we're here already. But that doesn't mean that we're
yeah,
not going to be interoperable, though. Like interoperability for me is something that's very important. But we wanted to have
yeah.
like a home, like you go to Solana, you're basically like in like a free for all. It's like a big death match. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, Solana has a hype right now, but you'll never know how that's going to be in a couple months, right? Things move fast, but you'll
Yeah.
also indeed have a lot more competition. And on Sui, like you said, the TVLs like this, and you don't have many things really going on right there yet. That makes me feel like,
Yeah.
whoa. And Solana does
Yeah.
have that already. So,
Yeah.
okay, smart.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's also, I mean, like Sui is like a US EU play. Like I think that they're gonna get, I think really they're gonna be endorsed by like some government level
Mm,
people sooner or later. I think that's just a matter of time. And considering that if Trump is gonna stay in power for the next 4 years, then that's probably gonna play out very well for them. Like they're in that space. And yeah, we're chatting with the foundation. I actually have a call with them like 2 a.m. tonight. Seem to be getting very good support from them as well.
mm.
So yeah, just like finding a good place to start off and build off of. I think that's
Yeah.
important.
Okay, so but you're not just building on it, you actually connect with the foundation as well. That's
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. And one other thing, like, yeah, there are probably a lot of questions, and if people have questions based on this, by the way, they can leave a comment down below, and we can get back to that, of course. For now, it's a lot of information to process and a lot to
Yeah,
look out for,
yeah.
if I can say for
Let me
myself.
ask you a question then to close it off.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. The other way around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I try to ask this question to everybody that I value, and I think that I value you a lot. So I want to know if you could be able to build a swarm very easily, using no code tools and just prompt engineering. So that means like you can describe the swarm and the individual agents, and then it's essentially spawned for you. What would you build?
I think something that might help, bots, right? Like, on YouTube, but also on Telegram. There are so many of these scam bots, and they're getting worse and worse. And they don't only work with text these days. Also on Telegram, they put it in some kind of an image so that you can not really detect it, and maybe something that you can apply to prevent that. Because I think that, especially in crypto, but probably also in Web 2, with the whole evolution of technology right now, scamming is going to be the new robbery. Like, banks are not going to be
Yeah,
robbed anymore. It's going to be the retailer. And I think, maybe something that prevents that, because I think that's going
I
to be a
like that.
huge fucking problem. It already is, but it's going to be way bigger, I think.
I like that. I like that. That's very
Okay,
interesting.
don't front run me now. But,
Yeah, I'm gonna front run for motion. Let's go.
yeah, no, but
No,
really,
okay.
like, if there will be something possible that helps preventing, like, it's not 100% preventable, I think, but something that supports you,
Mm.
that would be amazing. Because at a certain point, you cannot tell what's fake and real anymore. Just like the fact checker, by the way, fact checker, by the
Yeah.
way. So,
Check.
yeah.
Yeah. I see a lot of these super crazy um YouTube videos where it looks like an influencer and they're telling you about like a bot that can like you like deploy this smart contract and you deposit like some Bitcoin in it and like Ethereum and
Oh,
like it generates like funds for you. Obviously, like you said, you put your Ethereum in there, it's like gonna be gone. But
yeah,
yeah, whoa, like those videos got like 70,000 views. If you look at the comments, it's
yeah.
like really like good comments. I was watching one of those things because it was just showing up on my feed as an ad. It was an advertisement. It
It's
was like an
crazy that they
ad.
just advertise that, right? Like,
Yeah, what the fuck?
yeah. But also YouTube comments, right? Like, as a content creator, I also notice I'm always cleaning up my comments personally, but these big accounts, they don't have time for that. So, and at a certain point, I noticed that they start to look more and more. I sometimes have to read, like, was this an actual person that put
Person?
this comment, or is this a
Yeah,
bot? Like, I cannot, like, I get that the average person has no clue, and these are going to be dangerous as well.
yeah, yeah. It's wild, man. Dangerous space. It's like the Wild West out there.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And if the project that you are building somewhat helps, by protecting people, like, what you showed at the beginning of the video as well, that's fantastic, man. I don't understand why this isn't urgent priority for a lot of projects, because at a certain point we have a problem, and the technology should be just as good for us to prevent that. So, therefore, I like what you're building, and it comes from a good place, as well. Most people are in it for the money or want to build something groundbreaking, but in this case, you're also building something that we actually need.
Yeah, and actually can use too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate those words.
definitely. Last question. I think, the attention span, is gonna get, the problem for most people now, so I don't want to make it too long.
Yeah.
Especially for the people that mostly are investors and feel like, when TGE this and that. Do you have already specific marketing plans? Like, you don't have to give all the details, but do you already think about things like, okay, market maker,
Yeah.
DEX only, if not CEXs, how, what, where, when? Do you have a
Yeah.
global image about that?
Yeah. So conservatively, we've put the TG on Q2, but it's really like a timing thing. Oh, yeah, I can scroll down to the roadmap, by the way. Yeah, tentatively or conservatively, our token generation event is in Q2, but I'm trying to go much faster than that. So it might just be happening in Q1. If it's Q1, it's going to be probably late Q1, but still try and accelerate it. And then like the DEX launch would be very strong. Right now, the question is, what is the market going to be like, and how are we going to time it the best? We have all group chats and conversations with the exchanges already going. We have market makers already lined up. Like everything is literally ready to go. Now it's
Yeah.
all just about what is the right sequence and what is the right timing.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm collaborating actually also with our community on making decisions like this. It's like kind of like I try to get the community literally like very involved, because we have a bunch of very interesting people in the community that are um like like literally like crypto experts, and they're very strong. And we have super good advisors as well, by the way, like Andrew Durdy, the formerly president of Republic, right now CEO of
Oh
Republic
shit.
Crypto and Republic.
That's
He's
big.
our advisor. Yeah, he's my personal advisor. So I'm also, like listening like to that side of the spectrum, and understanding the broader spectrum of the market also from the US side. So just want to make sure that we're positioned and we're launching at the right time. And yeah, that's basically what's in the pipeline.
Really interesting, man. As a last pitch, for now, the best way that people can actually interact with the project or being involved is by purchasing a license. You
Yes.
have to do that to Sui, of course. So you have to get a Sui wallet and have some USDC on it.
Yeah.
That's very accessible and very easily to do. One last pitch to convince somebody, like, what might be the reason for somebody to do so? We already talked
Yeah.
about it, but as an overview to wrap it up, basically.
Yeah. To wrap it up, you'll receive not just rewards in the native token, but you'll also receive access to revenue pools that do consist of the assets that are going to be launched on the Swarm platform. You're going to get airdrops from the swarms that we're specifically launching from the foundation side. But besides that, you also get access to a community of very, very nice people. Like the community is just very, very close to each other. We have serious conversations all the time. We have like the top people, literally like some top people in the crypto space that are part of the community and that are contributing, and seriously are trying to just build something that is going to make a difference. So I think being part of the movement really that we are creating.
Well, I mean, that is very underrated, actually, because it's easy to end up in some kind of a bullshit Telegram group and get caught up in the sentiment of the market at that moment. And but being with the right people around you, like, and there are groups, like, I don't want to throw shots at no groups, but I know some groups you have to pay like 15 ETH to be in their community, which is like 40, $50,000, right? And you just be in the
Yeah.
community. It's freaking insane, right? But it is
Yeah.
valuable. So yeah, it's good that you also mentioned that. I think
Yeah. Yeah,
definitely.
I think you've seen it for yourself, like the sentiment in also our alpha group and what's going on there. It's a very inviting and open space. I like it.
Yeah, yeah. It's people who didn't join crypto yesterday. You'll notice that definitely. Awesome, really
Yes.
cool. What's the next step to wrap it up with? Really, what's the next step right now? The focus is now on the license. In the meantime, you're building. What's the next thing that the community can expect as a announcement? Basically, I don't know. Maybe you don't want to announce an announcement, but what's on the pipeline?
Yes. So there's going to be a big feature update on the roll up news and the swarm there. So we're gonna release essentially like the version 2 of this. What you can see now is an MVP, and now the devs are working on the second version of that. And that is also actually going to come with some additional features on the reward side, so you can get involved as a user. You can participate on the roll-up side of things. You can help us verify certain information. You can earn some additional power within the community. Then there's going to be staking as well for your agent licenses that is going to unlock some cool rewards. And then, yeah, besides that, we're just building very hard on the platform itself, the agent build, and that's going to become accessible to agent license holders first, so that we have this like feedback loop of, you know, what our users actually want to see and how we can improve, and then eventually we'll bring it to the public. But I think, yeah, there's also a lot of conversations going on in the background, some big partnerships, some VC conversations, and some foundation level conversations. So hopefully we can bring that to light pretty soon as well.
Sweet, man. Enough to be excited about, from what I hear.
Definitely.
Very
Yes.
cool. Thanks for your time. I know for you it's busy enough already, and to jump on the YouTube channel, which is still relative small, right? It's like you have to do the pitch all over and all over again, but it does show
It's all
the
good.
dedication that you have towards the project, which most founders don't have, I think. So that's really cool, man.
All good, man.
Um,
All good, man. It was a pleasure to be here and speaking to you
awesome.
once again, man.
Exactly. Let's do it again, maybe in a
Sure.
month or two when some things have rolled out to see where we are.
Yeah, for sure. And meanwhile, if the community on your side has any questions, feel free to forward them to our team, and I'm sure they will be answered efficiently.
Well, yeah, we'll definitely do. They always have questions, so prepare. Thanks, man, so much. Thank you.
All good. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Ciao.